Shayna. Sorry I'm a little late today. I'm having some computer problems, which is probably about right for a Monday morning. Okay, so assuming that Facebook has not frozen and this is actually recording, we're going to get started. Let's go ahead and come to a standing position at the front of the mat. Feeling your feet below you, rooting down into the earth, maybe lifting the toes, spreading them wide, sinking the feet down into the ground, standing up nice and tall, taking a deep breath in. And as you practice today, being mindful of your body, remembering that you are in charge of all of the poses that you do or do not do. Never do anything that causes pain or harm to your body. Never do anything that doesn't feel right for you. You are in charge of your practice today. We're going to roll the shoulders up, back and down, settling the shoulders down the shoulder blades, down the back. Just taking some awareness through the body, becoming fully present in this moment. Keeping those breaths deep, keeping those exhales slow and steady. For the past few practices, I've been trying to work in a little bit of the yoga yamas and eventually the niyamas. We've been mindful of our movements so as to cause no harm, and we've tried to be truthful, noticing when a pose works for us, when it doesn't. So remember to do that in your practice today as well, but we're also going to begin to try to practice non-stealing. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, taking the palms flat to the earth, bending into the knees generously. And as you inhale, begin to lift the hips a little higher. And we're going to try not to steal from this moment, steal from this pose, but instead just rest and relax in it. Giving our bodies time to enjoy and benefit from each movement. Today we're going to be staying in each position just a little bit longer than we may normally stay in them. As your leg muscles begin to relax and lengthen, see if you can take another deep breath in, reach the hips up a little higher. Maybe the legs are fully extended now, maybe they still have a generous bend. Being honest with yourself, practicing non-harm, finding that position that works for you best in this moment. And then coming into your half forward fold, either lifting up onto the hands, walking the hands in front of you, taking hands to shins, hands to thighs, and beginning to straighten those legs, fully extended but not locked, just a little tiny micro bend in the knees. Press into the hands, extend through the crown of your head. Draw your shoulders into their sockets, shoulder blades down the back. Just being here, experiencing, enjoying the breath, noticing the sensations. And slowly sliding the hands down the legs, taking hands flat to the ground again, bending into the knees if that feels better on your legs. Inhaling, lifting those hips a little higher, deepening that stretch just a little bit. No need to push to your max on our first salutation. Noticing where you feel the sensation today. Maybe you feel it more in your calves, maybe you feel it more in your hamstrings. Maybe this is a nice deep quad stretch for you today. Maybe you're noticing it more in the upper body. Wherever you are, no judgment, just feeling, experiencing, noticing. Inhaling, lifting those hips a little higher. Exhaling, relaxing that torso. Taking opposite hands to opposite elbows. I guess that technology hang-up got me a little more tongue-tied and caught up in my mind. It's important to be honest with ourselves and realize when something's not being digested properly, not being let go. And even if we can't let go of it, just being aware of it can help to ease that tension. Notice if there's something that you're hanging on to, something from this morning, from last night, from your weekend, even something from a month ago, a year ago. Notice if it's hung up somewhere in your body. Take a deep breath in and see if you can let go of it just a little. Gently swaying side to side in your ragdoll, maybe bending into one knee and then the other, maybe keeping the legs straight, doing what feels right for your body. Nice deep leg stretch here. Long relaxed torso. Taking hands flat to the floor, we're going to shift weight into the left leg as we step the right leg back, coming into our lunge. Hanging out here for just a moment, beginning to feel the body, notice the sensations. Checking in on our form for safety. We want to keep our knee above our ankle, not going any further past. Knee should be back behind the toes. If your knee needs to be back behind the ankle, that's okay. Just try to keep them roughly stacked in order to get a nice, deep, safe stretch. Holding here for just a breath or two more. Feeling that hip begin to expand and loosen just a little bit. See if you can relax both hips, letting them drop down just a little bit further. Stepping both feet back into plank, lowering down to knees. Untuck those toes and push back into the child's pose of your choice, either knees together or apart, arms forward, or arms reaching back for toes. Head resting down towards the ground. Begin to relax through the shoulders. Breathing deeply. Each exhalation an invitation to relax. Begin to notice the sensations you feel here. Notice if a particular muscle is tight. If a particular joint is unhappy, see if you can wiggle around, play with this position, getting yourself just a little more comfortable. Or just relaxing here in your child's pose for a moment. Taking the time just to be you. No worries, no plans. Just existing in this moment. Knowing that you can come back to this pose or any other relaxing pose that you need at any point during today's practice. And then taking your hands back out in front of you if they aren't there already, pressing down into palms, coming up through our tabletop. We're going to walk our hands back under shoulders, march our knees out, seeing if we can stack each of the joints, hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. I'm going to lower the belly down, extend the gaze up, coming into our cow pose. Draw the belly in, arch the back, gaze to thighs, coming into cat. Follow the rhythm of your breath, inhaling into your cow, gaze up. Exhaling into cat. Arching that spine, pressing down into the ground, lifting that back up high, pushing those hips back just a little. Deep breath in, coming through cow, drawing shoulders back towards one another. Opening through the heart, reaching forward with the chest and chin, gaze lifts. Exhaling, cat pose. Allowing yourself to linger as long as you'd like in either of these positions. Or if it feels more appropriate, flowing through with the rhythm of your own breath. Pushing back for cat, reaching forward for cow. Maybe it feels better to hold in one of these poses for 2 or 3 breaths. Listening to your body, being aware, giving it what it's asking for. Not stealing this experience from yourself for the sake of keeping up with a count or with your breath. Begin to add in a little organic movement, a little bit of a side stretch, reaching one shoulder back for the hip, going to the other direction. Continuing with these if this feels good for your body, or maybe even making some circles with the hips, making some figure 8s, being playful here. We just came out of our child's pose. See if you can keep that childlike curiosity, that childlike playfulness, exploring and moving through the body, noticing what's tight, noticing what feels good on you. Noticing if maybe you sat a little bit too much yesterday, so you are feeling it a little bit more or popping a little bit more, like my hip just did. Taking just a moment or two, a breath or two more. And then when you're ready, if you're ready, walking the hands forward just a little bit, coming back into our low plank. Bending down through the elbows, lowering all the way down to the mat, all the way down to the belly. We're going to come into our baby cobra, our lowest possible cobra. Hands press down into the mat, down into the earth. Elbows draw back towards the ribs. Shoulders slide down the back. Lift up through the crown of your head on the inhalation. Press down through those palms. Maybe even noticing how open your back is, making sure you're not forcing it too much by lifting one hand, seeing if you can stay here. Lifting both hands, seeing if you can stay here. And then replacing both hands on the ground, staying only as high as you were able to stay with both hands off the ground. Taking your awareness down each of the vertebrae, noticing how the head feels, that very top vertebrae in the neck. Seeing if you can locate that second and third vertebrae, the fourth, the fifth, the whole entire neck. Noticing how the mid-spine feels. Working your way down back of the ribs. Noticing how the back feels in each of these places. Noticing the low back, the spine that's more or less neutral, resting on the ground. Noticing if there's any strain through the back, and if so, lowering just a little bit more, relieving that strain. Seeing if you're going to relax that low back muscle just a little bit more. And pressing down into palms, extending through elbows, pushing all the way back into your child's pose once again. Taking a different variation this time. If your arms were back, keeping them forward. If they were forward, maybe trying taking them back. Knees can go wide if they were together. Experimenting here, seeing what works for you. Noticing the different sensations, adjusting the arms so you can get a little more comfortable. Breathing deeply. Seeing if you can relax the chest a little lower to the ground. Maybe it rests on the ground, maybe it doesn't. Maybe your forehead comes to rest on the ground or on your cheek. Cheek on the ground, not forehead on the cheek. Extra points if you can do that. Send a picture. I'm just kidding. Deep breath in. Exhale, push your hips back towards your heels just a little bit more, deepening the stretch. Becoming aware of each of the parts of the body. Breathing deeply. Seeing if you can take your body to the point of relaxation, the point of disengaging the muscles, that you're using absolutely no effort to hold yourself here. Noticing if any tension remains in the body. Seeing if you can mentally send some signals down to that muscle. Tell it to relax just a little bit more. Maybe it helps to picture it melting like a popsicle on a hot summer day. And then pressing down into the palms, inhaling, coming back up. Bringing knees back together if they were still apart. Tucking toes, lifting knees up. Keep a little bend in your knees as you begin to push your hips back, coming into your first downward dog. Holding here for just a minute, elbows drawing in towards one another, rotating those shoulders in their sockets. Deep breath in, lift those hips a little higher, maybe beginning to straighten through the knees just a little. If you have long or open hamstrings today, maybe extending the legs all the way, keeping just a micro bend in the knees at all times so that we don't hyperextend. We don't want to cause any injury to the body. Begin to reach those heels down towards the mat. They don't have to get all the way there. We're just going in that direction. Strengthening and lengthening. Inhale, push down through the palms, lift your hips a little higher. Exhale, take your chest a little closer to the thighs. Noticing how this first downward dog feels, coming down into child's pose at any point if you need to rest. And then stepping that right leg forward, coming back into our our high lunge, Either walking it one step at a time, or seeing if you can bring knee to chest, stepping it all the way through. Front leg forward. Resting here for just a moment, noticing how the hips feel. Noticing if this hip feels a little different, if this side feels a little different than it did when we stepped back with the right leg. Holding here, enjoying several deep breaths. And then shifting that weight into that front leg, stepping it back to your forward fold, grabbing opposite elbows once again, coming back to your ragdoll. Knees can be as bent as feels good for your body. Relax that head down, shake out the neck. I want you to imagine now that you are a bell. Begin to swing that bell side to side. Let your head relax so that it can maybe even touch one bicep and then the other as you sway side to side. Maybe even turning to look under the armpit as you go each way. And then releasing the arms down, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the neck, We're going to roll up just like a garage door, letting the head and neck, the shoulders hang forward, being the last thing to come up. Very slowly rolling all the way up. It appears that I am having technical difficulties again. Please hold on just a moment. All right. Continuing to breathe, standing here in your mountain pose. As you inhale, sweep the arms back up overhead. As you exhale, fold forward. Bring hands flat to ground. Inhale, lift the hips a little higher. Exhale, relax the torso down a little bit more. Take hands to shins, thighs, or forward in front of you. Inhaling, lifting halfway, reaching the crown of the head forward. Exhaling, taking the hands flat to the floor, step it back with your left leg. Holding here for just a moment, feeling the stretch on this side. Breathing into it. Slowly lowering that back knee down, flat to the floor. Noticing how the sensation changes with the knee down to the ground versus lifted. Tucking that back toe, lifting back up, stepping it back into plank. Feeling free to come down to low plank, knees down, toes untucked. Or, if your body wants that challenge, keeping the knees lifted. Either way, drawing elbows together, engaging the arms, palms pressed down into the earth. Shift your weight forward, taking your head just a little further past your fingertips. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower halfway. Coming down to knees at any time if you need to. Deep breath in, exhaling, lowering all the way down, rolling shoulders back and down, gaze lifted, heart reaching forward, palms pressing down into the earth, elbows drawing to shoulder blades. As you inhale, press down into the palms, maybe even lifting a little higher. Noticing how your cobra feels now. On your next exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, lift back up, pressing into palms, coming a little higher still. Holding here for just a breath or two. Exhaling, lowering all the way down. One final time, inhaling, lifting as high up as you choose. Hips relaxing down onto the ground. Shoulders relaxing back and down. Gaze forward. Deep breath in. Exhale, extend through the arms, tuck the toes, taking it back into your downward dog. Inhaling, lifting the hips. Exhaling, pressing the chest back into downward dog just a little deeper. Heels can be lifted, knees can be bent. Holding in this however feels best for you. Inhaling, taking the hips a little higher. Exhaling, taking the chest back just a little bit. Palms pressing down into the earth. Hips reaching back. Coming down to child's pose at any point when you need a rest. And then shifting forward, stepping forward with the left leg, coming back into our lunge. Holding here for a breath or two. Lowering that back knee down, untucking that toe, coming into our low lunge. Relaxing through the hips, letting them lower just a little bit more. Tucking the back toe, lifting that knee, coming back through your lunge, shifting your weight forward and stepping it back up to a forward fold. I'm going to walk both hands to one side of the foot. Either side is fine. I'm going to bend into that inside arm. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend. Bend into the knees as much as you need to. Be generous with your body, listening to what it needs, what it wants today. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, bending into those elbows. You're going to take that top arm up, reaching the hands for the ceiling. Arm can bend, hand can come to hip if that feels better. On the next inhale, we're going to draw that top shoulder up just a little bit more, seeing if we can look up at the ceiling if you're feeling steady. If you're not feeling steady, keep that gaze down towards the ground. Holding here for just a few breaths. And then releasing, hands both come down to the ground. Walking it over to the other side. Keeping as much of a bend in the knees as you need. We're going to inhale, lift the shoulders. Exhale, bend through the front elbow, the inner elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend into that elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend into that elbow. Breathing here for a moment. And taking that back arm up, reaching those fingers up. If it feels better, taking hand to hip. Deep breath in. Draw that top shoulder back, opening through the heart. Deep twist. Holding here for just a few breaths. Keep drawing back that top shoulder. Exhale, release that arm down. Hands come back to either side of the foot. Bend into the knees, drop the hips slightly, coming up into chair pose. Arms extend upward. Engage your core. Keep that back long and flat. Deep breath in, reach up through the fingertips. Exhale, draw the shoulders into their sockets. Keeping the shoulders down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend to the knees, take the hips down and back. Lift the toes, wiggle them, spread them out wide. And then reach them down into the earth. Deep breath in, reach through the fingertips. Exhale, bend into the knees and hips. Holding here for just a breath or two. Inhaling up at any point in time that you need to. And then inhaling all the way up. Palms comes together. On the exhale, drawing hands down to heart. Inhaling, taking the arms up. Exhaling, taking the arms down like wings. Inhaling, taking arms up. Exhaling, taking arms down like wings. One last time. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down like wings. Bringing hands back to center at heart. Noticing the body, noticing how it feels after 2 sun salutations. Comparing it to how you felt when you first practiced this morning. when you first began observing your body. Noticing anywhere else that's still feeling a little tension, a little grumpiness on this Monday morning, or whenever you're watching. See if you can begin to relax through that area. If it's in the legs, maybe bending through the knees, wiggling through the hips. If it's in the shoulder and back, maybe rolling through the shoulders. Moving however you need to. Seeing if you can relax just a little bit. Sending a little love into that body part. And then inhaling, sweeping the arms back up, palms together above head. Exhaling, hands down through heart, bowing forward, hinging at the hips, taking hands back flat to the earth. Inhale, half lift, reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale, forward fold, palms flat to earth. Step it back with right leg, and then left. Coming either into your cobra or upward dog. Cobra lowers straight down. Upward dog, inhale, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog, tops of feet flat to the ground. Resting in whichever option you chose, whichever feels right for you, knowing that you can lower down at any point in time, readjusting, reevaluating whatever your body needs in this moment. One more deep breath. On the exhale, coming to downward facing dog. Drawing elbows together, shoulders back and in. Breathing deeply. On the next inhale, taking the hips a little higher. On the exhale, pressing down through palms, sending the hips back a little further, sending the chest a little closer to the thighs. Begin to notice where the weight is in your body. If you begin to have stress on the wrists or the ankles, come down. Take a child's pose whenever you need it. There's no one keeping score. There's probably not even anyone watching. The winner is the person who feels the best at the end. And we can all be winners, so long as we're listening to our body and getting the most out of every pose. If you are in child's pose, or if you've come down from your downward facing dog, slowly begin to raise up. We're going to make our way back into our lunge. Lower that back knee. Either staying here or beginning to work your way back up. Hands to knee. Roll shoulders back and down. Reach elbows towards ribs. Take your chest a little further forward. Staying here or releasing one arm, letting fingertips raise up, reaching upward. Shoulders drawing back and down into their sockets. Shoulder blades down the spine. Begin to tuck that tailbone, engage that pelvic floor, engage that core. Reaching the crown of the head high, reaching the heart forward. If this feels like it's as much as you want to do right now, stay here, lower down when needed, or continue to challenge yourself, reaching fingertips high with the other arm, drawing shoulder blades down the back, shoulders into their sockets. Holding here, keeping everything engaged. Or taking those thumbs back, lifting that gaze, looking up past the fingertips. Deep breaths. If you can't breathe, you're not doing yoga. Or so I've been told. Continuing to breathe deeply. Wherever you are, one more deep breath. And on the exhale, slowly taking the hands back down to the earth if they're up. Relaxing everything down just a little bit more. Stretching out a little bit more through the hip. tucking that back toe, lifting that knee, and making your way back into your forward fold. Walking the feet to the edge of the mat, maybe even a little further. We're going to take opposite hand to ankle. We're going to do another twist here, reaching the fingertips high, drawing shoulder into socket. Hand can slide up a little higher if it needs a higher base of support. Or taking the hand to the hip, drawing that shoulder back a little bit further, gaze going up past that shoulder, taking the gaze down for stability if needed. Breathing deeply. Sighing it out with a smile if that feels good. And then releasing that shoulder down. Walking the hands over in the opposite direction. Hand comes to the other ankle, shin or thigh, whatever feels most appropriate to you. Opposite hand reaches for the sky, for the ceiling. Fingertips drawing up, shoulder drawing back and down. Deep breath in. Hand can come to hip if that feels more appropriate. Draw that shoulder open just a little bit more, gazing up for a deeper stretch, gazing down to the floor for more stability. Holding here for a few breaths. And then taking this opportunity to sigh it out with a smile if that feels good to you. Releasing. Hands come back to center. Stepping the feet in, heel toe. Bending through the knee, lowering the hips, engaging the core, sweeping the arms up overhead. Deep breath in, shoulders drop back and down. Coming into our chair pose. I apologize for my video quality today. It seems that it is lagging quite a bit. Hopefully it's not so bad on your end. Inhaling, coming all the way up, drawing thumbs back, gazing up to the ceiling in upward salute. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Stepping it back with the left leg. Holding here for a moment. Lowering down that back knee. Relaxing through the hips. Breathing deeply. I feel like this is the leg I just did. Tucking toes, lifting knee, stepping it back into your plank once again. Lowering down to the knees. Shifting weight forward, bending through elbows, lowering all the way down. Taking elbows under shoulders, coming into Sphinx pose. Palms and elbows pressing down into the earth, crown of the head lifting up. Shoulders reaching back and down. Heart reaching forward, breathing deeply. Hands pressed down into the earth. Lift through the elbows, extend the arms long, coming into your seal pose, trying not to let the shoulders roll forward. Drawing elbows back towards the ribs, shoulders into their sockets, shoulder blades down the back, pressing into the palm, lifting through the crown of the head a little bit more. Exhaling, lowering all the way back down into your Sphinx pose. Resting here for a breath or two, drawing elbows towards ribs, reaching that heart forward, drawing those shoulders back. Walking the hands back under the shoulders, tucking toes. We're going to make our way back into our downward dog. Or, if you want a little break from downward dog, pushing back onto the knees. Reaching the hands forward just a little bit. Relaxing those shoulders, relaxing that chest, reaching down with the heart. Forehead can come flat to the floor if that feels appropriate for you. Puppy pose. Keeping the toes tucked or releasing them, letting the tops of the foot go flat to the floor. As you inhale, press down through the palms. Reach the hips back a little bit further. As you exhale, relax the shoulders, relax the chest down just a little bit lower. Taking that chest a little closer to the thighs. Shoulders still in the sockets, still drawing back and down. Making our way back into lunge. Left leg forward this time, tuck toes. Lift hips high if you're in puppy pose. And step that left leg forward, hanging out here in lunge for just a moment. Breathing deeply. When you're ready, lowering that back knee down. Relaxing down through those hips. Staying here for a breath or two. Maybe this is as far as you want to go on this side, and that's fine. Noticing, being aware, deciding what's best for your body. If your body needs a little bit more, taking just one hand up, both hands up, beginning to engage the core, lift through the pelvic floor, tailbone tucks under, rolling shoulders back and down, lifting through the crown of the head, coming up just a little bit higher, breathing deeply. Maybe you want even more. Lifting one arm up, shoulder down, fingertips raising up. Maybe you want both arms up, fingertips reaching up, shoulders back and down. Maybe you want even more. Gaze begins to lift up to fingertips. Thumbs begin to draw back into a little bit of a back bend. Deep breath in. Exhale, relaxing into it just a little bit, softening the muscles just a little bit, no matter where you are. Even if your hands are flat to the floor. Staying here for just a breath or two more. And on the next big exhale, taking your hands back to the floor if they're not already there. Beginning to soften, taking it just a little bit lower. Tucking those back toes, lifting the knees, shifting the weight slightly forward, walking or stepping it back to your forward fold. Grabbing opposite arms again for another ragdoll. And then slowly releasing those arms, rolling it back up. Head and shoulders relax forward. Coming all the way up, gaze finally comes up, shoulders roll up, back and down. Doing a couple more shoulders rolls one way, and then the other. One more deep breath in, sweeping arms up overhead. Exhaling, forward fold, taking palms to the ground, stepping the feet out to the edges of the mats. Toes turn outward, heels turn inward. Sitting the hips back, bending through the knees, keeping the knees back behind the toes if you can. Lowering down into a squat, garland pose, malasana. If you need your heels lifted, that is okay. It may feel better to put a blanket underneath your heels to give you a little more support. If your hips are a little higher, that's fine. We just want to move so that we're getting a nice deep stretch through the hip. Maybe that means taking your feet a little further apart so you can sit back and down just a little bit more. If you're down all the way and you're not having much of a sensation yet, take palms together, thumbs to heart, and begin to press elbows into knees, widening the knees, deepening the stretch. Inhale, reaching up through the crown of the head. Exhale, sitting the hips back and down just a little bit more. Doing this a couple of times, feeling that hip stretch intensify. Only so far as feels appropriate for your body. And then relaxing the hands back down to the ground, coming down to the bottom, however you need to get there. Let's take the feet wide, hands bracing us behind us. Fingertips can either go forward or backward, whatever feels best to you. If you're like me and you're a little short in the arms, you might even want to tent the fingers, lifting up onto the fingers, letting the palms stay raised. Gently rocking the knees side to side. Beginning to exaggerate the movement, letting one hip come up, rocking the knees a little closer to the ground. Maybe even exaggerating the movement a little bit more. Twisting, reaching that front arm back, that back, sweeping the arms around. Uh-oh. I'm not sure if you can see me still. It is definitely a Monday with all of these technical difficulties. Just continuing to rock side to side. One arm can reach around and tap the other shoulder if that feels good to you. Adding a little bit of a twist here. Hopefully my video will catch back up and you'll be able to see the demonstration of it. If not, just moving through the body, feeling what feels good to you, what feels most appropriate to you. And then coming back to stillness, breathing deeply, taking the feet, soles together, sitting up tall, bound ankle pose. As you inhale, reach up through the crown of the head. As you exhale, try to draw the knees down just a little bit, adjusting the distance of the heels from the hips to what feels appropriate for you. Inhaling, reaching up with the crown of the head, rolling shoulders back and down, sitting up tall. Exhaling, drawing knees and hips down just a little bit more. Inhale, sitting up tall again. Suzanne, you say you can see me. Okay. It's not buffering. Yeah, I think it's something on my end, Suzanne. I'm going to keep trying to fix it, and I will guide you through with my voice as the audio hopefully begins to work for us. Taking hands to thighs, inhaling again, reaching up with the crown of the head. Exhale, begin to go into a forward fold, reaching the chest forward, keeping the torso long and straight. Inhale, reaching with the crown of the head. Exhale, taking that chest a little closer to the thighs. one more deep breath in, reaching the crown of the head forward. As you exhale, begin to relax the shoulders, letting them round forward, letting the head drop down just a little bit more. Okay, hopefully this will work for us a little better. Beginning to relax everything, seeing if you can take that chest just a little closer to the thighs. Relaxing just a little bit more. Using as little effort as you can to hold yourself in this position, letting gravity do all the work rather than forcing yourself down. Becoming aware of what you feel in this position, where you feel it, noticing the intensity, if it's too much, too little, or just right. Seeing if we can be Goldilocks for just a moment and find that position that works just right for us. Holding for just one more breath or two. And then letting the head and shoulders hang forward. We're going to roll back up as our head lifts, rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. Turning our gaze, letting our gaze go over one shoulder, nodding through the head, saying, yes, I will be good to this body. Turning and looking over the opposite shoulder, nodding, yes, I will do what's best for me in the moment. Letting chin come down, flowing past chest, saying, no, I will not force myself into any positions that are not right for me, whether in my body or in my life. Extending the legs out. Taking a deep breath in, reaching fingertips overhead, shoulders back and down. Exhaling, folding forward, keeping that chest and spine straight, reaching the crown of the head forward a little bit more. Deep breath in, and then on the exhale, rounding through the spine, lowering the chest down, relaxing through the shoulders and the neck, holding here for just a breath or two. I read a couple of quotes today that I felt were very applicable to life and to not stealing from these moments that we have. The first is by Buddha. Be where you are. Otherwise, you will miss most of your life. I think for me, as well as many others, we're trying so hard to get to the next best thing that's coming that we often miss out on those little things. Even when that little thing is how good a forward fold feels. So just enjoy the feeling of being here, of taking time for yourself, resting this for just another breath or two. And then slowly rounding back up once again. Crossing the legs, taking hands to knees, rolling shoulders back and down, reaching chest forward, gaze lifts into our seated cow pose. Exhaling back into cat. If it feels appropriate, beginning to make circles through cat and cow, going one direction. And as you come back, reversing that direction. Allowing those movements to be exaggerated, as big or as small of a cat and cow as feels good for your body. And then coming back to center, sweeping the arms open wide, deep breath in, reach the backs of the hands for one another, spreading your arms like wings, gaze lifts, chin lifts high, as open as you can make your torso. On the exhale, crossing arms, giving yourself a great big hug, rocking side to side, noticing which arm's on top. And the next deep breath in, expanding the arms, reaching out, hands reaching back for one another. On the exhale, crossing the opposite arm on top this time, rocking into it, opening through the shoulders. And the next deep breath in, releasing the arms back down. We're going to go into a twist. If you have a favorite variation, feel free to go into that variation. Otherwise, we're just going to do a simple cross-legged twist. Opposite hand to knee. Back hand close to the hip. As we inhale, press down into the hands, sit up, reach through the crown of the head. As you exhale, turn and look over that back shoulder. And rather than forcing a twist, just looking. Breathing deeply into this twist instead of forcing it to be a little deeper. One more deep breath in. As you exhale, twist a little deeper. Breathing deeply. Holding here for a moment. About 3 breaths. And then as you exhale, come back through center, opposite hand to knee, going the other way. Back hand close to the hip, inhaling, pressing down, reaching through the crown of the head. Deep breath in, and as you exhale, just turning and looking over that back shoulder. Not forcing the twist. Just noticing where you are in this moment. One more deep breath in. Exhaling, twisting a little bit deeper. Holding for just a few breaths. And then releasing, coming back through center. Let's lower down onto our backs. Taking knees to chest, rocking side to side. Doing a couple of circles one way and the other. Taking any final movements that your body needs in order to go into stillness, whether that's a happy baby variation, a waterfall, drawing knees to chest, more circles, stretching through the arms, whatever you need to be able to come to stillness. And when you're ready, meet me in Shavasana. Let's take our focus to our breath. Inhaling, feeling the belly and chest expand. Exhaling, trying to slow that exhalation, trying to make it last as long as possible. Inhaling just a little bit deeper this time. Exhaling, making it even slower and longer than the previous. Continuing with this breath. Deep inhales, long, slow exhales. I'd like to share with you that second quote now. This one is by Lao Tzu. And it reminds me not to steal from my yoga practice and who I am as an individual, or from the gifts that I possess in my life. And hopefully it will inspire you as well. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. This quote reminds me that through belonging to the world and having as well, that belonging to the world as well as the world belonging to us, we are able to enact the changes that we want to see and have happen in the world. Begin to picture in your mind something that you are grateful for in your life, something that you are content with, or maybe even something that you're working to accept. Allow your focus to rest with that for the next couple of minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Feel the sensation of energy traveling down through your limbs. Each inhalation reawakening your body. Begin to use gentle movement, wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, rotating through your joints, bending at the elbows and the knees. Maybe bringing knees to chest and rocking side to side or over on one side. Slowly, however you need to get there, coming back up to a seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I apologize for all of the technical difficulties, but I appreciate you toughing it out with me. One more inhalation brings the arms up, palms meet. Exhaling, hands to heart. Thank you again for joining me. Namaste.